What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the second album by Young Jeezy. Basically this product is called Come Shop With Me, and it came out in the fall of 2003. This is a particular kind of premiere type album within the pitch behind it. This is a double album, but definitely did that in fleshing out trap music as far as what's supposed to happen now. More or less between the folks that happened around that time, Gucci Mane, T.I., Jeezy, some of those particular type folks. All these particular folks particularly spawned in 2001. Pretty much the Mount Rushmore of trap music, which would be Gucci Mane, T.I., Jeezy, and then Future, which Future spawned 2010, but he was more spawning like the newer trap. But basically, Jeezy came out in 2001, just like T.I. and Gucci Mane. The pitch behind it was his particular album, T.U.I., Thuggin' Under the Influence from 2001, kind of caught on within the pitch a little bit. It's a mildly more scratchy album, but it's definitely pretty bona fide within the sense as far as like the impact of kicking off a genre as far as what's pitch going to happen, especially as far back as like the summer of 2001 when things were a lot different within those appeals. This particular album hits the ground running and is definitely a classic within the impact of it. Just would have to say, Jeezy pulled off a number of notable things, not only fleshing out a genre as far as what's first going to happen, not only fleshing out a genre as far as this particular affair is going to happen, but also having like the concept of like a classic double album, which is just within the pitch. Now, apart from like Tupac and Notorious B.I.G., I cannot think of terribly many double albums that I've given like a 10 out of 10. Me just trying to think of the fare behind it. Like particularly, it's been a little bit since I've reviewed like a double album, but I think Killer Mike I gave like a 9 out of 10. That was a relatively recent one, but I have not really reviewed double albums prior to Killer Mike's 2006 album since probably like February 2024 when I was reviewing all those. But some of those ones I reviewed, like Nas's double album Streets Disciple, I gave like an 8.75 or an 8, something like the 8.5 somewhere in there. Really good, but I didn't see it as full bound as much of a classic. And then like I didn't get to Tech Nine's Killer album quite yet, but I am going to get to that one eventually. Maybe not soon, but within some fashion. Trying to think of some other ones like I guess I did give Lil Wayne's mixtapes like Dedication 5 and then like the Drought 3 10s out of 10, but it's within the pitch as far as saying in terms of like an actual album that's purchasable, pitches like that, just not super common within the pitch. Now this is a double album. It's kind of on the shorter side in terms of like double album type fare. It just has 11 songs in both discs, but in terms of there's actually 4 skits on this album on top of that, so it's actually 26 songs, but you get 4 skits on here, so it narrows it basically about the size of Notorious B.I.G.'s Life After Death, but it nails the particular appeal. This has a beefed up type aspect, but basically the conduct out of these 22 songs on this album, there's really only one song I don't recommend, and that was basically just a gimmick song by Look After Here. I'm not as full bound sure what the single was off this particular product. I look after the product of it. This is kind of more on like the independent grind type tip as far as what's first going to happen. Jeezy, pretty much, I remember Jeezy getting signed to like Def Jam or one of those type labels. He found like L.A. Reid or someone like that in like the spring of 2004, and they made him do a joint venture with Bad Boy, and they didn't make him, but they had him do a joint venture with Bad Boy in like 2004 to put out the Boys in the Hood album and then his solo album. So he did those in 2005, but way back in 2003, Jeezy was still getting fleshed out. But the thing about this particular album is just the fact that it was so premier in the sense as far as just being able to nail these styles and just be able to do it just with the aspect of this album has all the impacts of like a notable kind of early, very early, super early kind of trap album, just without the aspect of like the mammoth type girth that it particularly had. So once the label kind of found Jeezy, it was kind of the pitch that they managed to help him flesh out like some hit songs like And Then What, Soul Survivor, Trap Star, Go Crazy, My Hood, some of those type of ones, Trap or Die, some of those type pitches. This is kind of the format. Now, this is the better product, I would say, than like Jeezy's Trap or Die mixtape, but he just had a little bit more cohesiveness. There's just something about signing to a label within the pitches like that that gets the product of disc things having a little bit more refinement within the aspect. Jeezy's refinement aspect just kind of changed by the time you got to 2005, and it's kind of more or less within the same pitch when you think about his 2004 mixtape. I forget what that one's called, but The Streets Is Watching, some of those type fairs with the hit single Over Here on there. So it's just kind of the pitch as far as saying Jeezy particularly fleshed out by the time. I mean, this was kind of the last batch of like the early kind of more sketch type Jeezy. It's not to say sketch in a bad way, but he just was more hungry, didn't have as much. This is a good product, but it's just kind of more on the independent type grind. But it definitely nailed it. I mean, these songs, this definitely gives like some Tupac in the summer '96 type vibes. It's that same sort of thuggish, just kind of rampantness and just prevalent kind of vibes throughout the atmosphere. Just getting towards like the conduct of Summer Fair between songs like Thug Ya with, Lil Jon's usual hook, Bella, Ubi, and some folks like that. There's just some ones on here, some of these type ones. That's What's Up, some good Summer Fair. and like Come Shop With Me, The Game, some of these type ones I ride. There's just some good summer glaze by within the fashion. It's not within the full bound pitch like Complete Summer Frolic, but just definitely when you think of thug living, thug passion type moments that Tupac kind of manifested in '96, this has that particular aspect, but just in a trap sense. So it's just kind of form it just in more southern hip hop, just on that particular appeal. It's some ride outs. There's definitely moments on here like the drug sales Jeezy's on here, so it's not just the aspect of like the thug living about it, but it's also the aspect of like the drug sales aspect of it as well. Some songs like Put the Whip on It, some of those type of ones. And there's some other ones on here like Can You Smell and some of these type of pitches, and probably a few other ones that, yeah, the couple of Put the Whip on It songs, just some pitches like that, and there's probably a couple other ones on here within the pitch. The Game, some of these type ones, Come Shop With Me. So it's just the pitch as far as saying Jeezy was pretty active in like the hustle type mentality in the mode to just get into. But I like these particular moments because he had made it by the time you had gotten to Thug Motivation 101. So it's just kind of pitch to just getting some of these songs are still amidst the work shift, just within the fair of having to put in work in some of those type formats. So very much, if you like makeshift, if you appreciate early bird kind of trap music, but you're amongst like the makeshift, some of those particular type fairs, just the product of this like standard blue car, the pitch behind it, the what have you, getting the money, has some good products just amongst that. But to this being able to say, just to talk about it on here, the only song I don't recommend in any fashion is just the song Ain't I. So just talk about that one. That one's just basically like a revamp in just a particular sense, just a gimmick song in the same fashion as Juvenile's Ha, but just to pull out the vibe. It was just, that was the only real true awkward type one on here. I mean, I kind of somewhat like the relative club bounce of that particular song, but it is the gimmick about that particular song. I realized that it was being a tribute to I realized that it was being like an ode to like the Juvenile type style within the pitch behind it, but it just didn't have as much affability. It was full bound towards the tone of it. But that's pretty much the only one. Jeezy basically nailed like a classic album in those pitches. Now, like I said, it is kind of a mildly shorter. I question if there had been more songs on this particular album. I think probably it would have. I think within the pitch, it had been 25, 26, 27 songs, probably would have nailed it as well. But classic double album for the pitch behind it. 21 out of 22. So I'm going to talk about every one of these other 21 songs in here as far as those fashions going to happen. Now, just to say, I remember reviewing the TUI album, the Thuggin' Under the Influence album from 2001 by Jeezy, and there were some songs off that album that I saved for this particular album. I might have talked about them minorly, but those are songs I wanted to wait till this album because they're just better on this particular album because he fleshed it out better than he did in 2001. There's some ones, like I want to say Haters was kind of like that. I want to say that from what I remember, Haters was on there, and there's some ones like maybe I Ride was one of those type of ones, and like maybe like Matrix, some of those. I don't remember his full album. There's at least 3 or 4 songs, something like that. Maybe it's Georgia, GA, one of those type of ones, just in the pitch as far as saying. There's just some ones, probably at least 3 or 4 songs. I think Tonight was one of those as well. So it's just kind of, Tonight was known as a different song. It was just within the pitch. At least 3 or 4 or 5 songs off the TUI are also on this album, but still classic just because it has the impact. So, it's Beyonce, so real nice one on here is Rainy Days. It's like a swamped and morose kind of bad hair days kind of get within the aspects here. Just a queasy kind of makeshift commerce that I'd say within the aspect of it. Just kind of slag money as far as what's going to happen. So I like the particular product of this Jeezy being able to nail these kind of down in the dumps type songs within the pitch behind it as far as what's going to go. Just the impact of Tupac doing songs like Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto and Keep Your Head Up, some of those type moments. Just kind of the pitch as far as Jeezy giving you some motivation to kind of make it through like the rainy type morose, just kind of upside down type fare. So it really nails the particular appeal about it. Just more summer hops within the pitch, but just kind of aspect of this. Maybe like a homie died or something like that, some sort of pitch just within the format of that particular fare. It's upside downness. I Ride is a quality one as well. It's like a summer drear and composed kind of cruise around to kind of get with the aspects here. It goes with the song The Game, which is another real, that's probably one of my more favorite songs on this album is The Game. Remember that one from back in the day. It's like I Ride is like some ghetto kind of Tupac 96 like vibes as far as this pitch can have. So just kind of the pitch is something you hear from Tupac when you think of songs like I Ain't Mad at You, some of those type pitches. Just really has, particularly feels like songs off of Thug, like Don Illuminati, the 96 album, the 7-Day Theory, some of those type pitches, just some of those particular type forms. There's probably one I can think of that I might put in like the connotation, not as full bound sure, but just pitches like that. Very much like I Ain't Mad at You, Life Goes On, some of those particular type fares. Just really that summer 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock p.m. type drear, just like an Orange Skies type pitch where this is a simmering hot day, but this is kind of more reflective, and just pitches like that, it just kind of kickback as far as those fares kind of just a glaze kind of cruise around to really smoke in the wind. So I say tonight is a quality one on here. It's like a moist and exotic kind of run around, kind of get within the aspects. Just some snazzy kind of lobby music, I'd have to say here. Good primer for a crazy ass night as far as those pitch caps. So just kind of the pitch. Really like the lyrics on this particular song. It's Jeezy going through the motions of just being at hotel bound pitches like that. It's kind of the product, just pretty similar to like Tupac's checkout times and those type pitches within the format of it. Just kind of within the aspect as far as saying that this Jeezy's living quick, just from the aspect of this typical day fare as far as those pitches can happen, good aspect. Bananas is a pretty vicious one on here. This is probably another one of my more favorite type ones within the aspect of it. It's like a pungent kind of night stroll and prowl antics kind of get within the product of it. Just snacks music, I'd have to say wide awake. This is like snacks type music, I'd say just wide awake, just in the midst of the night, kind of feeling spiffy and an overall hot song. Come Shop With Me, the title track's a hot one as well. It's like a sunny, late, kind of relative wind down from like a long day, I'd have to say within the aspects here, just typical kind of grind relief. The song's like some typical kind of grind relief as far as those pairs can happen. So just to miss the pitch, like these are some ones like between Can You Smell, Come Shop With Me, just to miss the product like that hustle fare as far as those pitch can happen. But this is just kind of one like a typical day type fashion. Probably like I would say Can You Smell's more in like late shift kind of 7-8 p.m. pitches like that, still hustling. But I would say that Come Shop With Me is kind of one where it's just real sunny out, just a good grand kind of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even in some senses Thursday, Friday, just in the aspect of just that typical, this usual kind of work report as far as those fairs gonna happen. Just pretty much great for 4:45, 5 o'clock p.m. Just getting some Burger King, feeling great, getting like a Whopper or something like that. Just a good amount of grub, and just the pitch of this being amidst the workday, but just kind of conduct of getting to songs like Tonight and some of those type pitches of just like the unwind and just getting towards like it's kind of the enjoyment of like a hustle type mentality. Just good work, good play within the aspects for us as pitch comp. So it's just a good steady balance of just having the aspect of the balance of it. So good type fair. We Can Play the Game is a quality one. Definitely like the pitch behind it. It's like a feeling riled, kind of good crunk, kind of 3-6 Mafia like shit starter as far as this pitch gonna happen. Definite dance clapper as far as those first gonna go. So there are some crunk type numbers on here within the pitch behind. There's at least 5 or 6 of these. Some of these type moments. This is an early type melding that I think Jeezy with the particularly by the time he got to 2005, he kind of abandoned crunk, but it was kind of a format that lesser known kind of fun facts about Jeezy is the fact that he did kind of initially try to do crunk with Lil Jon and 3-6 Mafia and Petey Pablo and Bone Crusher and all those folks back in 2001, 2003. I think probably the most recent crunk song I can really think of within some degree of fashion might be like Over Here or maybe even Trap or Die. Trap or Die is kind of like a minor, Trap or Die from Thug Motivation is kind of like a minor crunk song, but for the most part he kind of pretty much abandoned crunk after like particularly this album. It's just some good type pitches kind of getting that. It's just pretty frenetic, jittery pitches like that. Same thing with Gangsta Walk and some of these type ones. Gangsta Walk is like a basic kind of nightclub bounce kind of get within the aspects here. Just good riveting energy for 03. I would definitely have to say within the product of it, just like Bone Crusher, some of those type folks. So the product of it is a lot of this particular type fair. There were some folks that, I mean, this 2003 was still relatively early before there were like some notable classics, like thinking about like Lil Wayne's The Carter, especially in the South. Ludacris was still kind of mildly in the early stages. He hadn't had his Ludacris was still kind of in his early stages. Ying Yang Twins was the shit at that particular time with songs like Salt Shaker and Get Low, some of those type pitches. So it's just kind of the format that it was still within the melding type process, but it's just good type pitches that Jeezy was already fleshing out trap within some of those type fairs. Now, to say when I talk about trap on here, there are some moments I feel like more or less it kind of feels within a relative sense. I can see some degrees of trap on here, but it doesn't feel as much full bound trap compared to like Thug Motivation 101. I feel like Jeezy kind of put that mildly kind of on the back burner as far as saying there are some ones on here like I'd probably say The Game and GA is a nice one for that. And like maybe songs like Put the Whip on It, part 1 and 2, some of those particular type moments, but it's just kind of within the pitch that in a lot of senses it feels more of like blends of like Lil Jon and Tupac, some of those particular type styles, more so than the full boundness of just having like the particular genre about it, which I kind of felt like maybe TUI had a little bit of trap in there within a relative sense, but it's just kind of the product, or it's not. It's just that when you think of songs by Jeezy like Trap or Die and Trap Star and like Go Crazy, some of those type of products, it doesn't really have the DJ drama mixtape type flair, the hustle modes and just pitches like that. So I would say it kind of has trap in here, but the product of it was just the fact that Southern hip hop enjoy. I would say it has trap on here, but just the product that Southern hip hop in general is kind of in like a relatively early type stage. So it's just kind of product that Jeezy was just watering like a lot of seeds within those aspects as far as trying to make that happen. But it's kind of the pitch that pretty much a lot of stuff was kind of in its early stages around that time, so it's just kind of the pitch. But like The Game is a real excellent one on here. Like I said, this is one of my more favorite songs on this album, I'd say. It's like a glazed and thoughtful kind of summer evening, clear mind as far as this pitch can happen. By that, I just mean clear your mind, some of those type fares. It's like the aftermath of some BS, I'd have to say, some recent BS, some of those particular type formats, just kind of the recovery of that, some of those particular type fares. Good Thug Pain song as far as this pitch kind of. So just the product, probably something Tupac would kind of do, just the aspect of getting pissed off, realizing the pitches of people that just pissed him off recently, just getting back on the prowl and just kind of being like, fuck it, this middle fingers raised, some of that particular type fare, just within the aspect of it, just kind of the product of that. But it's just very composed, the aspect of how it particularly kind of happens. This is a song I really used to rock with back in this is a song I really used to rock with back in the days, probably one of the earlier Jeezy songs. I always wonder where this song was from, but I just didn't know until like the Song of the Game was a song I wonder where it came from by Jeezy. Didn't particularly have that realized till about like the mid-late 2000s as far as this first happens, just within the pitch as far as saying, but it's a good product just to be able to get that here within the pitch. Let Me Hit That's a quality one within the aspect. Just good, excellent smoking song within the fair, just like pretty much the title implies within those pitches. Like a good 3-6 Mafia like late powwow smoke fest kind of get within the aspect here. Just some homies dapping vibes as far as this first gonna happen. So just the pitch, it's kind of format. This does have some homies on the particular song, which is Fadank, and Let Me Hit That is definitely an early bird type trap song within the pitch. This feels like a song that you would have gotten out of 2010, 2011, some of those particular type fairs. This feels like a typical kind of hustle mode, just hop into it, something like you would have caught off of like Meek Mill's Dream Chase with some of those type pitches within the format of it as far as what's first happens. It's just the impact there, good particular tone. I would say that 22s are better. It's a pretty excellent type one within pitch, pretty similar to T.I.'s 24s that also came out around that time. Now this is a particular one. This is the most popular song off the album according to Spotify. It has like over 400,000 plays. This is not a terrible kind of bona fide smash in terms of like Spotify type fare within the pitch. I feel like this is kind of relative early type fare, but this kind of goes like this is pretty ancient type album within the pitch nowadays, just in the product of it. But I look after here in turn like this particular album, the main thing about it is it just doesn't have like the hit kind of factorment about it as far as like something that you would think of that probably would be like Radio 1's like Go Crazy and Trap Star, some of those type pitches, and Soul Survivor. This is just like the album, which is a double album. This is like the albums before the albums first came out. But 22s are better. It's like a grandiose kind of feeling, sparky cruise around to kind of get here. Good song to get supplies to, and some 2000s kind of stunt music within the fashion. So it's just kind of the product of it. Just a good, nice one. Another good embrace. This is like the opposite, not so much the opposite, but this kind of goes in tandem, I guess I would more or less say, with like Come Shop With Me, or Come Shop With Me is like a good cruise around, just like the sunny type weather pitches like that, a disc, feeling good, feeling the hair, feeling your hair breeze in the wind as far as this pitch kind of happen. But 22s are better. It's just more in that mode of just getting to songs like Gangsta Walkin' and like Hater, some of those type pitches kind of within the format of just kind of the mode of feeling kind of sparky, just the product of some frogginess kind of aspect of wanting some bells to get towards pitches like that. Just kind of the product of getting ready to get tore up and some pitches like that. Just kind of rolling out and just once again like early 2000s kind of stunt music just in the fashion. Can You Smell happens to be a nice one as well. Good, excellent type pitch for this. Like a late shift kind of typical work day, I'd have to say within the aspects here. Just stacking grind up, I'd have to say within the pitches. Smoke some, I would definitely feel like about this particular one. This is like a feel-good touch song, definitely some pep to kind of get. So it's just the aspect as far as saying, kind of being amidst the product of just like working late, some of those particular type fares. These are just some of those late workday type fashions of still getting to money pitches like that where it is past 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock p.m. and still being like, fuck it, I'm going to get some more cash, some of those particular type fares, just kind of being amidst like the product. It's not so much like it has to be like just, I mean, more or less, if it's not Hustler's Makeshift, just the product of working overtime just within the pitch. I mean, it's probably not as SFW friendly within the pitch, but it's just kind of the product as far as saying just the product, just like if you're a pizza guy, something like that, just to cruise around, so just getting towards it, just stack and grind up some of those particular type fares. Good song also kind of smoke some, just kind of the pep of this. I mean, it has the same relative, this after worship kind of embraces 22s are better and Come Chop With Me, Tile Truck. So it's just some good type pitches, just late hours within the fashion, kind of like Bananas. Put the Whip on It's a quality one. It's like a caught up in like workday sludge, I'd say, just kind of some venting music. This definitely would need some smoke, but this one just kind of ruffle type day and rattle type day within the pitch mod. So this is just the product of one. This is like a series of a song here. Put the Whip on It, part 1 and 2 is just the product of like drug fare, just in the aspect of just having problems within the pitch behind it, just the aspect of getting pissed off, and the product of having to get retribution as far as this fair is going to happen. Put the Whip on is just the product of having possible ruffled days of just like personal life drama as far as this fair is going to happen. Just good type pitch for that. Put the Whip on It, part 2 goes along with that particular fair, but this is like It's like the answer to like the previous one. It's like a droopy and sullen kind of typical money modes kind of get with an aspect here. Just pretty much robbing the person that particularly did you bad as far as this pitch kind of happened. Just the aspect, just like, hey, this is what happens. Just kind of the pitch behind. It's like some bad hair day kind of products as far as this first kind of happens. It's just the after effect of like the slag. There are some moments on this particular album that do have like the ups and downs. This is very much kind of a roller coaster of a project that has some up here, some down here. It's just within the pitch as far as this particular kind of saying, just the ins and outs of like that particular fare. And it kind of does in like a trap sense. Like Tupac would kind of have the pitch of just having like the more ghetto and slummish type moments that just keep your head up, like maybe you got fired from a job, pitches like that. But Jeezy actually tells his saga some of these particular type formats that just more or less within the pitch of like if you do have like drug sales that are just aspects of hustlers makeshift, just the product of this standard rugged living, some of those particular type fares, just the product. Say Tupac had some ups and downs in terms of like a ghetto and slummish type fashion, and just helping divas back on their feet, keep your head up type moments, just saying fuck the government, fuck the system, pitches like that. But it's this kind of format that these are just more kind of hustlers makeshift type ups and downs within pitch as far as like the format of just having the product of just like sometimes, ball and sunshine and rain. So it's just a good pitch as far as doing that, because the particular thing of like notable double albums, and it's just not always within the pitch. This is a pretty personal actual album within the pitch that just has like the aspects of just giving you something to feel more so than just the product of it. So there are some Blitz Club kind of thunders on here, but there are some moments that'll really make you feel kind of. It just kind of actually has the product of making you want to wince just within the product of just being able to say that it does have like some downs just within the pitch bond. So it just nails those moments. Trying to think of some other ones on here. Like Matrix is a pretty quality one. It's like a Trick Daddy like Sunny kind of extra thoughts kind of get within the product of it. Has one of those typical kind of like kids choruses like he would do on like I'm a Thug or some of those type pitches, or I think that's the one, I'm a Thug, from his 2001 album, and Trick Daddy's 2001 album. This like a basic slummish kind of get around. I'd have to say here just some rainy dirt just from the after effects of it. So this one's a little bit more sunshine. This one's kind of more just like has a little bit more melded kind of pep about it, where it's kind of it's just more of like a rainy kind of recovery type song within the pitch behind it. This kind of a typical kind of rainy day kind of makeshift push as far as this pitch kind of happens. So just the aspect of like that typical kind of dread just caught up within it, but just the standard report to it as far as this pitch kind of happens. Just kind of typical Tupac like within the essence. Ain't Nothing Like is a pretty slamming type one as well. It's like a glared kind of typical evening saunter kind of get within the aspects here. Just some makeshift embrace, I'd have to say. Just trap wise, just in the aspect of a good groove to kind of get. This one's just more like the format of songs like Bananas. Not quite as wide awake as Bananas, but just that typical kind of glared type fashion. Just the pitch of just like it being 5:30, 6:30 p.m. pitches like that as the sun's starting to set. Figuring out like some map outs. Just kind of the pitch is still minorly being amidst like the makeshift mode, but just kind of within the pitch as far as saying the product of like, alright, I'm going to get like some beers probably within like the next 35, 45, 75 minutes. Some of those particular type pitches behind it. It's figuring out like the initial next mode, just kind of the initial flip mode of like the product of like, alright, these products getting switch into like nightcat mode as far as those pitches will kind of have with this. So it's this good type product, basically getting some basic kind of errands done, some of those type pitches of it, just kind of in between conduit type fashions. GA is a quality one. Now this is another one I think that was possibly on like Jeezy's 2001 album. Is like a very Petey Pablo like kind of super gnarled crunk blitzer kind of get within the aspects here. It's like an early bird kind of put on for the city anthem, I'd say within the aspects, very hot type one. This is another one that has like some early bird kind of trap type senses about it between songs like Let Me Hit That and GA. These are some good type pitches that probably have like, these pretty much are like the Exos. Between songs like GA and Let Me Hit That, these are pretty much like the initial kind of, between songs like GA and Let Me Hit That, these are like the initial kind of seeds of like the fashions of like things that were kind of products of like what was going to happen in trap music in like the 2010s with like mixtape type era. So it's this good type pitch in some of these type ones, because pretty much within a sense, I mean, T.I. kind of did some of this, but he fleshed out a lot quicker. Jeezy was kind of a little bit more in the trenches around this time, like the early mid 2000s, but it's this good type pitch, kind of get that. And Thug Yeah with Ubi's a nice one as well on here. It's like a summer evening kind of Tupac-like boss bitch kind of right around, I had to say, within the fashion. Just some good personal life type drama. It's like some good drama about it, like I was saying, but just enjoyed within the fashion. So it's kind of caught up, but not so much bitching about it. It's not the drama where you're like, fuck it, I hate this bitch. Some pitches like that, just kind of pissed off. So it's kind of product of the usual kind of arguments. Like when you think of like I Love My Bitch by Busta Rhymes, some of those type pitches where you're calling your girlfriend, or pitches like, It's just some enjoyment out of it where you're calling your girlfriend or diva a bitch as far as those formats gonna happen, but it's just the pitch as far as saying she's a bitch, but I love her within those pitches as far as those first gonna happen. So it's just some usual go as far as those first gonna happen. So just caught up in the particular fair. There's actually within the super product of it, certain aspects there's more or less some songs on here with like the Tupac 96 type vibe, so it's within the pitch that disbalances a lot of that particular fair. This kind of has the product in terms of like if you're wanting more songs within this particular fashion, just Me and My Girlfriend by Tupac and some thuggy type vibes off this particular album. I would have probably figured that there would have been at least one or two more type moments, but for the most part, it's just kind of within the pitch as far as saying there is further moments to kind of have within the Tupac 96 type aspect, but it's just kind of the pitch that it's just kind of more summer fried and like a trap sense, I'd say, but it is good type product, definitely, I'd have to say, within the pitch. Then I look after here, so I'm a Gangsta is another nice one with an aspect of it. It's like a heading to like the night scene kind of initial kickoffs, kind of get here, just feeling grand, good song to get bent to and pretty sparky. It's like a real good conduit type song within the pitch behind it as far as those pairs gonna happen. Just really like the aspect of like this is probably a little bit more amidst like the spiffiness of just the product of it, just feeling real grand. Just the aspect of right, just not so much in hustle type mode, but just the pitch of like really gonna get tore up some of those particular type fashions. But this one's actually a little bit more of like a smoother type one. It has like a ruffle type sense, but probably one of those type ones that Trick Daddy would kind of do where he wants to get bent for the night as far as those pitches gonna happen. Not quite amidst like the carnage just yet, but kind of the initial type moments that just kind of taking in the intake of the night scene as far as those particular type forms, just realizing what mode you're going to be in, whether it is just going to be smooth type fashions or it's going to be turn up kind of ravenous type fashions. This is within the pitch, but this is like a good night primer as far as those first kind of just figuring out how that's going to go. Great Thursday and Friday kind of enjoyment and primers. And I think one of the last songs I haven't talked about on here would be That's What's Up. This is probably I think one of the last songs I haven't talked about on here would be That's What's Up. This is probably one of my more favorite songs on here. I'd have to say just like the game and some of those type ones and like Banana, some of those type pitches. This is like a breezy and super comfy kind of night relief kind of get within the aspects here. Just toke up nice, I'd say, within the aspect of it. Definitely some hollow music, I'd say. Just overall great feelings about this particular song. So just the pitch, definitely have Bella nearby. Just a good catch as far as this pitch can happen. Just Bella, that's definitely drool worthy pitches like that. Just the aspect of just feeling grand pitches like that. Just some good smoke fest. It's kind of the product of just having like it's the product of having good night enjoyment and balling out as far as this pitch can happen. So it's just one pitch as far as saying it's like a smoother type song. This one's not as carnivorous, just kind of fashion, a little bit more kickback within the particular. This particular song just has a little bit more kickback within the fashion of it, but it's a good type pitch just to get like these breezy type, almost within the same type fashion. I mean, more or less, this is kind of like an original type factor of a song compared within the pitch, because just within the fashion, I mean, apart from Ja Rule, there weren't a ton of folks doing more R&B flavor type ones within the aspects, so it just kind of has that smooth type factor, just without like an R&B singer is full bound kind of on there. This nails the fashion like some residential bound kind of after hours grooves first this pitch can happen. Now, there might actually be another song. I realize there's just within the pounding nest is going to be a denser kind of review, but I look after. I'm not sure if I talked about Tonight either, but it's like a moist and exotic kind of run around. I'd have to say within the aspects here, just some snazzy kind of lobby music. I'd have to say in a primer for a crazy ass night. Now, if I did talk about this one, I'll just cancel it out. I think within the fashion I possibly did, but it's just, I think basically I talk about this one, it's very similar to Checkout Time, so it's just on the pitch. So yeah, this album gets a 10 out of 10. The social score I will give like a 9.75 out of 10, because it definitely has the moments on here, has plenty of good aspects of this. The social score I will give a 9.75 out of 10, because I'm not sure if it had a single, but the aspects like the turn up on this particular album are pretty good on here. Like the Summer Fair, just kind of basically nailing Tupac from 96, just enhancing that, taking it a step further than some of those type pitches, having the ride out type energy, having some hustle type mode for like the work shift and is getting towards it. Jeezy's pretty good motivator and he's pretty like productive within the aspects. It just has the aspect of being able to nail these particular type moments, having some moments like Can You Smell, The Game, having some hustle type moments like Can You Smell, Come Shop With Me, some of these particular type fairs, Put the Whip On It, some of these particular type moments just being caught up within the product of it, just getting towards the bustle and the standard day fair, the fashion like the summer living within some of these type moments, some thunderous kind of crunk moments on here that harness Lil Jon and Bone Crusher, some of those particular type folks. So just a good aspect of a lot of these particular type tones, some ride around type moments. It had like some very early moments that would be in mixtapes like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years later, pitches like that. So this is the pitch for us and good primer for those relative type aspects. It's really nailed the appeal. It's kind of the fashion that pretty much the only thing this album really lacked is just like a bona fide kind of single as far as those fairs going to happen. But I looked at the pitch, it might have been like Put the Whip on. I'm not really particularly sure. I think maybe it possibly was Haters or Georgia, some of those particular type fairs. Don't know if Jeezy put out any sort of music videos, some of those type pitches, but there are some ones. Do have some catching attention, but just Jeezy got fleshed out later with like the pitch as far as just the adaptation that he had with like the signed to label. making Jeezy commercial really enhanced him within the pitches behind him. But it's not like this album is bad. It just is not as like casual, super fried as far as this pitch can go. So 9.75. But look after in terms of future, like Jeezy has dropped another album, and I think that's still like his most recent project, possibly within the pitch. It came out in the fall of 2023, which was, like I was saying, another double album within some of those type pitches. So within the format. I'm not sure if he dropped an album in 2024 or the first half of 2025 as far as these fairs can happen, but I look after here within the pitch as far as being able to say this basic classic with the impact of it. Seems a little bit trickier to track down nowadays, but definitely worth it just within the sense of just more kind of hungry type Jeezy, more amidst like the worship, but definitely has the numbers and the summer rumbles, just the aspect, just like seedy kind of summer living, but definitely nails the appeal behind it. Not as casual bomb, but that shouldn't stop you as far as the fair's gonna have them with like some early bird kind of trap that nails it. I think there's at least one more song I didn't talk about within the standard fare of the review, and that would be Take It to the Floor. This is like an excellent kind of bone crusher and Ying Yang Twins like Night Venue Rager, I'd have to say here, and the song slaps pretty well. So it's just within the pitch, the standard rumble within the fashion. If you like Bone Crusher from 2003, Ying Yang Twins from 2003 with like Salt Shaker, Get Low, Never Scared, some of those type pitches that those particular folks kind of did. It's just that same sort of thunder within the pitch. It's a little bit more in traditional type fashion, feels a little bit more relevant to 2003. Most of this particular album feels a lot more just ahead of the times within the particular fair, but there were some moments on here like Gangsta Walkin', Take It to the Floor, Haters, GA, some of these type ones where basically Jeezy adapts to like the current trends and just pitches like that and kind of works towards it. And I think maybe within a certain type of fashion, I want to say possibly I didn't talk about Haters either, so it's just the fashion talking about some of these crunk type ones. So Haters is like a great Jeezy spin on like early 2000s kind of Lil Jon crunk, I'd have to say here. It's even more vicious than he particularly gets. Jeezy's variation of crunk's a little bit more because he really gets ravenous. Lil Jon is just more like flip a bird and kind of say fuck that nigga, push that hoe, some of those type pitches. But this particular fair with Jeezy's version of crunk, just like some bust walls and kind of yell as far as those aspects can happen. So just the pitch is realizing that Jeezy just within the fashion gets even more carnivorous, but it's just the fashion as far as getting towards some of those. So just the pitch to having like some extra crunk numbers within those pitches. But yeah, this album is a classic easy type fair it's gonna see here.